Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel English with Speaker. My name is Tanya and today we're going to have a look at reflexive pronouns, how to use them for emphasis, show that something is more important, and talk about each other and one another. But before we continue, there's a free PDF worksheet with all the information from today's lesson and exercises to practice more. Just go to the description box and click on the link to get it. Look at these two sentences. Andrew blamed Josh for the accident. Andrew blamed himself for the accident. In the first sentence, Andrew is the subject and Josh is the object. Andrew and Josh are two different people. In the second sentence, Andrew is the subject and himself is the object. But himself who? Andrew. Andrew is himself. So the subject and the object are the same. They refer to the same thing. Himself is a reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronouns end self or selves, and we use them when we want to direct the information to the subject. Look at these reflexive pronouns. For I, it's myself. For you, it's yourself. For he, it's himself. For she, it's herself. For it, itself. We, ourselves. They, themselves. You, yourselves. Pay attention that we use self for singular pronouns, while we use selves for plural pronouns. This is why we have yourself when we talk about one person or we're being polite, and yourselves when we talk about two people and more. Let's make examples with each reflexive pronoun. I always take care of myself. The computer turns itself off automatically. Do you see yourself living in the city? Judy taught herself how to crochet. Dave kept encouraging himself before the job interview. After not talking to each other for a while, they found themselves in a difficult situation. We behaved ourselves properly in Buckingham Palace. You all convinced yourselves in his innocence. Sometimes we do not talk about one person, but about people or a situation in general. For this, we can use oneself. One can make oneself a sandwich when hungry. By the way, you can also use you and yourself for the same purpose. You can make yourself a sandwich when hungry. Reflexive pronouns are also used to emphasize something. That is, to show that something is important. Let's have a look at these examples. He himself said that he would come to the party. Not only reflexive pronouns make these emphasis, but also we do it with our intonation. And in this case, if you remove them, the meaning will not change. Let's take a look. He said he would come to the party. You see, nothing has changed, except that we don't highlight some parts. We don't make any emphasis. Keep in mind that you can remove reflexive pronouns only if you use them for emphasis. Let's have a look at the previous example. I always take care of myself. If we put myself away, we will have I always take care of. Take care of what? Take care of whom? Many questions. Now we are going to put by before reflexive pronouns and see what happens. I like to spend time by myself. Children played in the park by themselves. The car started moving by itself, and we get by myself, by themselves, by itself. And it means alone or without any help. Let's have a look at the first sentence. I like to spend time by myself. I like to spend time alone. Children played in the park by themselves. Children played in the park alone. The car started moving by itself. The car started moving alone, without any help, without anyone starting it. Each other and one another. We use them when we want to show that each person in a group of two or more people does something to the others. Let's have a look. The two dogs were barking at each other across the fence. In some cultures, people never touch one another when speaking. We use each other when we talk about two people or animals. We use one another when we talk about three people or more. But in fact, almost always you can use them interchangeably. For example, family members should always support each other, no matter what. But in many families, there are more than two people, right? So family members should support one another, no matter what. The thing is that each other is less formal, and that's why it is used more than one another. Sometimes students love reflexive pronouns so much that they start using them everywhere, even when it is unnecessary. It was surprising, but they invited Pete and myself to the party. Do you see the mistake? Thank God, it's so easy to fix. Forget Pete. Forget Pete. They invited who? Me. They invited me to the party. Now let's bring Pete back. They invited Pete and me to the party. Just try putting other people away and see if it works. One last thing we need to discuss before we wrap it up is reflexive verbs. Yes, I know they also exist, and they exist in many languages. A reflexive verb is a verb whose subject is the same as the object. Sounds familiar, right? That means that we will always use a reflexive pronoun after a reflexive verb. Here are some examples of reflexive verbs. Enjoy. I enjoyed myself at the theater. Thank you. Hurt. Jim hurt himself in a car accident last week. Kill. She didn't want to kill herself by working too much. Market oneself as something. He decided to market himself as a fitness instructor. And since these reflexive verbs exist in many different languages, it might be a problem area because a reflexive verb that may exist in Spanish may not exist in English. For example, in Spanish, there is a verb ducharse, ducharse, and it means to take a shower. So a Spanish-speaking student may want to say, I take myself a shower. But in English, it doesn't work this way because we usually say, I take a shower or I have a shower. This is why learning reflexive verbs is also important. I gave just a few examples, but I put all other reflexive verbs in the worksheet that I prepared for you. You can go to the description box and download it absolutely for free. There is also all the information from today's lesson and more exercises to practice. I think it will be a great help for you. All right. I really hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and if you did, give this video a thumbs up and click follow to get new lessons and new PDF worksheets every week. Thank you for being here with me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.